Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Hello guys and welcome to the year-end special series Rewind 2017. I'm Priya Sheth.
And I'm Ritu Singh.
Over the last year, businesses have seen two transformational events which have changed the way they do business. Firstly, the government demonetized 500 and 1,000 rupee notes, which had a significant impact as far as business is concerned. And the second half of the year saw the biggest tax reform, that's the goods and services tax that came into play.
Indeed, Priya, and over this special show, we'll bring you a round of all the stories that made headlines in 2017, stories that sizzled and those that fizzled across the sectors. First up, the government's biggest achievement of 2017, and that has clearly been engineering India's sharp rise in the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business rankings. CNBC TV18's Ritu Bhuya reports on whether India has the wherewithal to improve or better these rankings or that 30-point jump in 2018.
No one thought that we can make a breakthrough jump of 30 in 1 year in these rankings.
The World Bank's Ease of Doing Business rankings are a testament to India's reforms agenda. And with a 30-rank jump in the rankings, India has clearly been one of the stars of the World Bank's index. More so because it managed a significant improvement in 6 of the 10 parameters that determine global rankings.
और ये कोई जनरलाइज्ड रैंकिंग नहीं होती कि आपने क्या-क्या कार्रवाई की अपने देश में बिजनेस एनवायरनमेंट को इंप्रूव करने की। ये कुछ स्पेसिफिक क्षेत्रों में होती है और उसकी बहुत ही कठिन मापदंड लेते हैं वो।
India's 2017 ranking at 100 has been its best placing since the index came to be in 2003. But the big question now is whether India can better its ranking or even just hang on to its current place.
It has done very well for a cricket-loving nation to hit a century. Is fantastic. And the question is now that India has gone up, how it can continue to improve, knowing that the higher you go, the more difficult the climb to the top.
One big achievement has been the sharp improvement when it comes to protecting the interests of minority investors. India's systems and protocols make it the 4th best country in this category, an improvement of 9 places over last year. But this fails when you consider that India's ranking in the getting credit parameter has improved to 29 from 44, while its ranking when it comes to resolving insolvency has improved 33 places to rank 103.
So, but the improvement in ranking this year is because we have a code, we have provided for certain provisions there, which the World Bank considers very positive.
India's performance has been even better in the category that looks at paying taxes, where it has climbed 53 positions to 119. The other areas of improvement include India's policies, systems and protocols in enforcing contracts and in dealing with construction permits.
That the number of procedures have come down to 30, the cost has come down and so on. And the distance to frontier has also improved. But the improvement in ranking is not exactly what we had thought.
So where did India falter? India's overall rankings could have been much better were it not for 4 parameters. That's starting a business, getting electricity, trading across borders and registering property.
According to World Bank, as countries move up the rankings, it gets difficult to improve upon them. But India has a strategy in place which includes 90 new reforms which will be captured in next year's Doing Business survey. Not only that, the 2018 survey will also better capture the user feedback of existing and ongoing reforms. But however hard one might try, getting to the top 50 position before the end of the Modi government's tenure will be rather difficult. In New Delhi, Ritu Bhuya.
Well, shifting gears to Motown, the hits just kept coming right through 2017, from the effects of demonetization to the switch to GST and adherence to stricter emission norms. The Indian auto sector has been through a very rough terrain. CNBC TV18's Utkarsh Chaturvedi as well as Rona Joy Banerjee report as to how there's only one theme that's played out in the auto sector, and that's survival.
बार बार बोलते हैं कि पॉलिसी क्लियर होनी चाहिए, बहुत क्लियर पॉलिसी है, कि पेट्रोल डीजल बनाने वालों का बैंड बाजा बजाना, ये मेरे मन में इसमें कोई कंफ्यूजन नहीं है। मैं तो ये करने वाला हूँ, either you like it, may not like it। मैं आपको पूछने वाला नहीं, मैं बुलडोज करने वाला हूँ।
This wasn't so much a message as a warning, and coming out of the blue as it did, it rattled automakers across the spectrum. For many who were still coming to terms with the forced switch in engine specs from BS3 to BS4 earlier in the year, the setting of a stiff 3-year deadline to move to BS6 standards, and the implementation of goods and services tax, the government's concerted effort to drive in electric vehicles onto Indian roads, promised both pain and opportunity. Some, like Mahindra & Mahindra, had already begun laying the foundation for this eventual electrification.
That electric vehicle is not where anybody is going to make money very quickly. It's going to take a lot of investment, a lot of waiting, which we have been saying all along, before we can make money in electric vehicles.
But when it came down to the wire, and the government's tender for 10,000 electric cars to allot to civil servants was floated, Tata Motors finished first, with a difference of 2 lakh rupees per vehicle in their bids. This created a little tiff between the rivals on whether such bids were sustainable in the long run.
I've seen the comments by Pawan and Anand, both of whom I deeply respect. But I want to tell you that we'll make money.
But the writing was on the wall, and more automakers hit their indicators to signal a move to the electric vehicle lane. Japan Suzuki Motors, the parent to India's largest car manufacturer Maruti Suzuki, entered into a JV with Toyota to develop electric vehicles for the Indian market, and another one with Dentsu and Toshiba to develop lithium-ion batteries to power these electric vehicles. Meanwhile, the government continued to try to arrive at a comprehensive electric vehicle policy, but hit a roadblock when it came to whether swappable batteries would be the best way forward. The Niti Aayog said yes, the minister said no. So there's still no EV policy in sight, and the flip-flop has global players and policy watchers waiting for clarity.
Not just an electrified E-Class, but we're going to bring 9 dedicated electric vehicles to the worldwide markets. We would need a time in between where we would also see some support on CBU imports.
We need to have a clear market framework policy right now. Okay, we don't know what is going to come when the policy will be released. So we all are eyeing on the policy currently, and that's enough. The policy is the most important thing what government can do.
Flip-flop and false start aside, the government's mega EV push has seen a good start. But to keep up with the momentum, the government needs to move quickly with the much-awaited EV policy, and also set up the necessary infrastructure to turn intent into action. With Ronojoy Banerjee in Delhi, in Mumbai, Utkarsh Chaturvedi.
Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik or Udan. That's the Modi government's ambitious project to link all the small cities via air routes that not just hatched but also took wings in 2017. CNBC TV18's Ashpreet Sethi reports that while the takeoff was smooth, the flight itself was filled with turbulence.
हमारे देश में गरीब व्यक्ति की एक पहचान है, वो हवाई चप्पल पहनता है। और मैंने उस मीटिंग में कहा था कि मैं चाहता हूं कि हवाई जहाज में हवाई चप्पल वाले लोग दिखाएं।
This is how the government sold the Udan story. The biggest pull for passengers under phase 1 of the Udan program is affordability. But while the ambitious project to put more smaller Indian cities onto air traffic routes had everyone at Twitter quite literally, the numbers show that the majority of Hawaii chappals are still on terra firma. Since the inaugural flight in April, only 26 of the 128 routes allotted under phase 1 are operational. Carriers like Air Deccan, Air Odisha and TrueJet have failed to meet the launch deadlines multiple times, for reasons as varied as lack of slots to lack of aircraft. Airlines say the big hurdle to 100% success is poor airport infrastructure and costly aviation turbine fuel, even though some states have cut prices for aircraft flying on the regional connectivity routes. Industry says the aviation ministry must go on overdrive to make Udan successful.
The achievement is that they have been able to, from concept to operationalization in the last year has been done, so that's a great achievement. In terms of the challenges, the capacity constraints at the metro airports has to be looked at, and the second is the integrated development at the terminal part of the infrastructure has to be augmented. So it's good if government can also get the private people on board for the development of these infrastructure. And as such, we are clipping in more than 20% as far as the passenger growth is concerned.
But this has not stopped the government from rolling out Udan 2. Seaplanes, helicopters, 19-seater planes. This is what Udan 2 will offer. Prime Minister Narendra Modi once again took the lead, took the first seaplane on 12th of December for his election campaign in Gujarat.
It's really a great thing for the country, and definitely it is going to be very useful for a common man.
So even though round 1 is far from fully operational, the government is pushing ahead with round 2, and so far seen bids from 17 airlines for 141 routes. The good news is that airlines seem gung-ho on the Udan mission, because a few of them like Indigo, SpiceJet and Jet Airways have chosen to even forego the subsidies the government was prepared to offer. And with underperformers in phase 1 likely to, it appears that the government is determined to keep the Udan program at cruising altitude. In New Delhi with Ashpreet Sethi, Arif Sherwani.
Time for a quick break, but more on the government and the RBI's stressed asset crackdown
and the rush of liquidity in the mutual fund industry. All of that on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching CNBC TV18 and this is our year-end special series, Rewind 2017.
But now 2017 will mostly be remembered as the year when the government as well as the banking regulator clamped down on the sector's bad loan problem, sending close to 40% of the sector's bad assets to the National Company Law Tribunal. But CNBC TV18's Ritu Singh reports why 2017 will not just be remembered as the year for bad assets.
For India's banking sector, 2017 has been a transformational year in many ways. The most notable transformation is that the sector finds itself in the midst of the largest bad loan cleanup exercise ever undertaken. Because if 2016 was about digging the skeletons out of the closet, 2017 was about giving them a proper burial, a process that will hopefully give the banking sector some closure as 2018 comes around. In one fell swoop, the Reserve Bank of India took advantage of the recently cleared Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code and marched a quarter of the banking sector's stressed assets to the National Company Law Tribunal. It began with a dirty dozen, 12 accounts identified by the RBI in its first defaulter list. At the time, these 12 accounts together accounted for almost 2.2 lakh crores of the total 8 lakh crore rupees of stressed assets. By the end of the second quarter, the total number has ballooned to over 10 lakh crore rupees, but it was still a strong start.
The IBC puts a time limit of 180 days, extendable by a further 90 days, within which creditors have to agree to a resolution plan, failing which the adjudicating authority under the law will pass a liquidation order on the insolvent company.
But halfway through this 180-day IBC resolution timeline, the government threw these stressed asset account holders for a loop. The rules of the IBC race were changed, and these amendments drastically changed the equation between lenders and errant defaulters, especially when it came to these defaulters regaining control of their companies. So this could well mean promoters like the Ruyas of SR, the Singhals of Bhushan Steel and the Kejriwals of Electrosteel Steels could lose control of their companies for good. The 270-day deadline to resolve these cases before they end up in liquidation ends in April, and bankers are hopeful that a resolution will be found for most, if not all, companies.
If we had taken them to NCLT 1 year ago, the haircut could have been as high as 60-65%. Today, with the revived scenario, maybe the haircut would be 40 or 35%. The debt which they are carrying in their books at that level, even at the current EBITDA margins, it is not sustainable, and write-downs are inevitable.
But even as the industry grappled with the changed resolution process, the RBI identified an additional 28 defaulters, and most of these may also end up in the bankruptcy court. Together, these 40 accounts make up for over 40% of the banking sector's non-performing loans, and a successful resolution of these stressed assets may well signal the end of India's bad loans problem. 2017 was not just about non-performing assets. The year also saw banks regain their feet as the after effects of the government's demonetization drive died down. And it is these very after effects that also dramatically changed the entire landscape of India's digital payment ecosystem.
Even if you see pre-demonetization and now, the usage of cards at POS terminals, the usage of mobile banking as a mode of transactions is all up at least 60% or more in various banks.
RBI data shows that the volume of electronic transactions rose from 671.5 million in November 2016 to 994.3 million by November 2017. Transactions made through the Unified Payment Interface or UPI jumped from a mere 0.3 million in November 2016 to 104.8 million as of November 2017. And mobile transactions surged from 72.3 million in November 2016 to 130 million as of October 2017. Granted, this last number has since slipped to 50.9 million. But as experts say, a revival is possible since the government is not easing up on its digital payments push. In Mumbai, Ritu Singh. For the real estate sector, however, 2017 was not exactly the dream year that everyone was hoping for. From the introduction of the real estate regulator to the lingering after effects of the government's note ban move and the rise in the number of legal cases against developers by unhappy home buyers. CNBC TV18's Kevin Lee reports on the many storms that the real estate sector has weathered in 2017.
Now, it was no surprise that demonetization hit the real estate sector especially hard given the large amount of cash in real estate transactions. However, once reports started coming in at the end of the first half of the year, industry watchers, builders and experts were all shocked as to just how bleak things were. The sudden and prolonged drying up of the cash component to property deals shook India's top real estate markets to their foundations. The National Capital Region, for instance, saw a 70% drop in launches between January and June 2017, along with a 25% dip in sales. In Mumbai, new launches were at a 10-year low, with sales down 8%. South India fared marginally better, with Chennai emerging as a bright spot, but given that the city saw heavy flooding in 2016, the base wasn't very high to begin with. Overall, the first half of 2017 was the worst period for sales and new launches for Indian real estate since 2012. Real estate consultancy firm Knight Frank's analysis suggests that it would take over 4 years just to sell existing inventory. But plunging demand wasn't the only roadblock for builders in 2017, nor was it the biggest.
20 years of me being in this industry, it was perhaps the biggest day yesterday with the regulator being formed.
Overall, this new act is a very positive development. I think it is going to be a game changer.
This heralded the implementation of the Real Estate Regulatory Authority or RERA, and with it, the very landscape of the Indian property market was redrawn. This is a one-stop shop to address homebuyer grievances and punish developers for unscrupulous activities, and it has meant increased compliance for builders and made the straight and narrow straighter and narrower. The new rules say builders have to pay homebuyers in case of project delays. Further, builders will no longer be able to use funds received for one project to build another. But even as developers grappled with the new regulations, homebuyers threw them another curveball: legal action. Two landmark real estate cases grabbed the spotlight. The first involved thousands of families who had bought houses being built by JP Infratech, which is facing insolvency proceedings. These homebuyers have since been assured that they will not be excluded from the table when the company's lenders seek to recover their loans. Unitech was the other developer to feel the heat. Even as the Supreme Court heard Unitech's case, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs moved the NCLT seeking permission to supersede the company's board to protect the interest of over 19,000 customers. Now, both these cases are being heard by various courts, but the writing is on the wall. Errant developers are not likely to get away scot-free, and defrauded home buyers have become a big priority. So as far as the real estate sector is concerned, 2017 will go down as the year of the home buyer. In Mumbai, Kevin Lee.
The government's demonetization move may have been a massive disruptor for the Indian economy, but not so much for the mutual fund sector. CNBC TV18's Yash Jain reports how the sustained rush of liquidity in the system through 2017 has translated into unprecedented flows for the mutual fund industry.
Last year, this figure of 3.43 lakh crore which came to the mutual fund mobilization, additional mobilization is a record. And I think more and more money coming to the formal sector post demonetization definitely will give it a further boost.
The SEBI chief's predictions came true, and how? A surge of deposits due to demonetization resulted in falling deposit rates. And as people looked for other places to invest their money, a supportive equity market and positive macroeconomic indicators led them to mutual funds. Because as the advertisement says,
mutual funds sahi hai.
So as 2017 began coming to a close, data showed that mutual fund houses have taken in over 5 lakh crore rupees of retail investor wealth over the year. That's a 50% growth over 2016 inflows. And full year data is not available just yet. It wasn't just lump sum investments. Systematic investment plans saw unprecedented demand, suggesting that investors were looking at mutual fund schemes not as just a temporary parking lot for excess cash, but as a long-term play.
And SIP book size reaching a new heights every month is a true reflection and a testimony of the industry's effort in building a retail, long-term, sustainable business model.
The shift in the investment ideology may prove beneficial for the mutual fund industry through 2018 as well, especially if market regulator SEBI delivers a late Christmas gift by allowing mutual funds to invest in commodity derivatives, a move which will substantially widen the investment net by including commodity traders. In Mumbai, Yash Jain.
So Priya, that in a nutshell was what 2017 was all about. But with that, it's an end to this special edition Rewind 2017. From all of us here at CNBC TV18, many thanks for watching.
And wishing all of you a very happy and prosperous New Year.